Once upon a time, a girl walked through the streets of a city on the outskirts, where the poor lived without imperial citizenship. She was hungry and decided to buy bread for a few days. This day was no different from others. The girl was already on her way home. Suddenly, she bumped into a child who had golden eyes and coal-black hair. As soon as she saw him, she immediately remembered someone. The girl offered him to come home with her if he had nowhere else to go. At that moment, she didn't know that she had extended a helping hand to someone who would later kill her. We are told about the love story The Vision of the Fallen Saint, written by a brother and sister. The brother gave his sister the only paper copy. The book tells the story of Lucielle, who was locked in a temple. The writers created an ideal scenario for three men to fall in love with the heroine, the Crown Prince Adrian Bridium, the perpetually sad Jael Lockhart, and the son of the Demon King, Raven North. He became the main villain of the story, driven mad by a thirst for revenge against everyone in the world when he met the villainess. When a rebellion broke out in the North family, Raven had to wander the streets, and a girl tricked him into going home with her, after which she sold him to a slave trader. Because of this, Raven was sent to the imperial palace, as those people were eager to capture the North family. He had to endure all possible troubles over the next 10 years, and finally managed to escape. However, upon returning home, he learns that his father has become the Demon King. Raven takes matters into his own hands and gets rid of his father, becoming a villain consumed by revenge. Suddenly, the girl wakes up and realizes that she has found herself in the body of this villainess from the extra character who turned Raven into a villain. Her name is Evelyn. The girl brings the boy home. She is hospitable, kind, and glad that he followed her. Evelyn thinks he is very handsome, despite being tired and dirty. She feeds him to lower his guard. Although he is young, he has a very fierce gaze. The boy introduces himself as Raven, and the girl as Evelyn. Remembering the plot of the book, she realizes that at this moment, the boy is poisoned and being pursued by family traitors. It's better for her not to get involved with him, but she feels guilty that Raven has nowhere to stay and nothing to eat. After all, she herself crafted this plot, so she decides to take responsibility and help him. She leads him to his room so he can rest. Suddenly, she feels a sharp pain. This is a symptom of the very disease Krata, from which Evelyn suffers. This disease affects mixed races when the energy of another race becomes too strong, disrupting the body's balance. In the original story, Evelyn suffered from this illness because she had elven blood. She wanted to buy painkillers but had no money, so she had to sell Raven to a slave trader. She decides not to follow this storyline and instead bring the boy back to his family, thus helping him. When the girl peeks into the boy's room, she finds him sitting on the floor. He cannot move his body. He shows symptoms of paralysis. The girl lays him down on the bed. Raven has a high fever. He is unresponsive. He dreams that he has returned home. The boy calls out to someone named Farrell. It turns out that Farrell has caused irreparable harm to the head of the family and his son by poisoning them and then selling information about the North family to the imperial family. Raven finds it hard to believe this. The boy is trapped. He cannot use his powers due to the magical slave mark. He escapes from Farrell's supervision and decides to trust no one anymore. As he walks through the streets of the city, he begins to lose strength, as the poison from the traitors has already spread significantly through his body. It is at this moment that he meets Evelyn. Suddenly, the boy wakes up and sees Evelyn in front of him. The girl tells him that he lost consciousness and that she took care of him until he came to. She asks why he never smiles, as he is very handsome and his eye color is unique. Raven doesn't understand why she is talking to him about this. He is cold and distant. Evelyn says that she hasn't talked to anyone her age in a long time and asks him to be a little softer. Evelyn leaves the boy to eat and rest while she goes to her room to write down everything that happened in the book because she realizes that if she cannot remember anything that happened to Evelyn, she will look suspicious. She remembers that she will have to go to the kingdoms of Elkas or Agar when war breaks out in the Empire because those places are the safest, and the Empire will not attack them. The girl needs to earn money as quickly as possible to cure her illness, as no one has cared for her since her grandmother's death. On the outskirts of the Shadow Forest, there grows a weed called Bard, which is enveloped in chaotic energy. By eating it, Evelyn can heal her ailment. It needs to be consumed after heat treatment for the healing process to begin properly. Regularly consuming the weed leads to vomiting blood and loss of voice at some point. After experiencing this effect, one must stop eating bard and complete the treatment by drinking holy water of the highest quality. Bard is quite a common herb in this region, but the girl has no money to buy it, so she decides to find this plant herself. The next morning, Evelyn goes to the house of the only low-level potion master in the city. She wants to get a job, earn some money, and obtain supplies of bard. The master opens the door for her, and the girl asks if he needs an assistant. He sharply declines, but Evelyn doesn't give up. She tells the master that she knows the recipe for a secret potion that can dye hair in rainbow colors. She knows that inventing her own potion would immediately classify a person as a mid-level producer, which is exactly what the master needs. However, he doesn't believe her, as this potion requires polymorph magic, and Belle is just a child. The master slams the door, unwilling to listen to her any longer. Evelyn doesn't despair. She notices that there are many plants lying around the house that were left over from the master's failed experiments. She decides to take some herbs since they are just lying here to be thrown away anyway, and they could be very useful for her. She can make a potion from them, sell it, and earn some money. The master watches Evelyn from the window. Before Evelyn left the house to go to the master, she warned Raven not to open the door to anyone, even if someone knocks. A merchant from the altar of Atos is trying to track her down, and if he finds out about the boy, he could harm him too. After a few hours, Raven wonders why Evelyn hasn't returned yet and where she has gone. Suddenly, he is struck by a sharp pain. Fortunately, at that moment, the girl returns with herbs that will help heal Raven's wounds. Belle asks him to take off his outer clothing so she can help him. The girl sees that his entire back is covered in scars and wounds. She realizes that he has been enduring severe pain for a long time. Suddenly, a stone flies through the window, startling Evelyn and causing her to fall, but Raven catches her. He decides to confront whoever did it, but the girl stops him because she knows her bullies. Their names are Sarah and Jack. They call Belle a monster and continue throwing stones. The kids have always teased her because of her unusual hair color. They believe that if they get closer to her, they will be cursed. The girl deliberately scares them off so they will leave her alone. The children run away in fear because she looks like a ghost. Raven doesn't understand why Evelyn is so calm. He gets the feeling that she is used to situations like this. They tell us about the warning in the treatment of the disease called CRAD with the herb bard. A person must not stop taking this plant until they achieve the desired results, namely, coughing up blood and losing their voice. Evelyn eats the unpleasant soup made from this herb every day. She has no other choice, but the bard is already running low. The girl has been going to the master for several days in a row to persuade him to give her work, but Jade refuses to take her as an apprentice. The only option for Evelyn is to go into the forest herself to look for the herb. Lost in her thoughts about her problems, she doesn't notice that Sarah and Jack have come back and are trying to throw stones at her again. They are stopped by Raven, who threatens them that they will regret it if they don't stop bothering Belle. His words frighten the children, and they run away. The guy tells Evelyn that it would be easier to just kill those troublemakers. The girl is surprised and puzzled. She realizes that a long and difficult journey awaits her ahead. She cannot allow Raven to become a villain. The guy notices that the girl often looks at the forest. He doesn't trust her and thinks she is planning to betray him. He warns her that he is not foolish and will not go anywhere with her. Evelyn explains to Raven that the reason she looks at the forest is because of the bard herb. She cooks this herb before every meal, but she doesn't have money to buy it, and the bard is almost gone. Belle plans to go into the forest and gather the herb herself, and Raven looks concerned. The action takes place in a square on the outskirts of the town. Jack and Sarah don't understand who that dark-haired guy is whom they saw near Evelyn's house. Sarah feels that Belle has changed a lot. There's a different atmosphere about her. She thinks that Evelyn is just pretending to be kind because she has feelings for Raven. Meanwhile, the North family is searching for the young gentleman. Luke, the commander of the Knights, reports that Raven has not yet been taken to the Imperial Palace. Schwan, the family doctor, realizes that the Imperial family wants to find the boy and take him away, so they must find him first. They search all the villages on the outskirts of the Empire, but it takes too much time. He understands that Raven could not have died, as the traces of magical power were cut off. He suspects that the magical power was sealed to leave no traces. The head of the family is still in poor condition. The doctor does not understand what poison the spy used, but he recalls that a similar situation happened with the previous head of the family, who was poisoned at an imperial banquet. Luke and Xuan conclude that the imperial family is also involved in this poisoning. Meanwhile, Argos Bridium, the emperor of the empire, is unhappy that his servants have still not found the boy. He ruthlessly kills the messenger who tells him that the search has yielded no results. Then the emperor orders to eliminate all people connected to the North family, as they are useless. He commands to find Raven before his family does. In her diary, Jade writes about her work with Evelyn. He is irritated that the girl easily handles all his tasks and then goes to the place where he keeps the remaining herbs. After taking a jar of pepper fruits, she makes a hemostatic remedy at home, which turns out to be very effective. Evelyn is happy that Jade is starting to trust her and that she can gather useful herbs. The master gave her some money so she could buy 2 botany books, and with the leftover money, she bought a book for Raven. On her way home, Belle overhears a conversation between 2 slave traders. They know that the girl is running out of money and soon won't be able to cope with her incurable illness without painkillers. In the city, everyone avoids Evelyn because of her unusual elven appearance. However, this is exactly what attracts the slave traders, as the more unique a slave's appearance is, the more valuable they are. She hears that they plan to come to her house next week. The girl is confident that she will be able to come up with something since there is still time. She has no doubt that she can heal herself with the bard's help and take care of Raven. Evelyn decides to go into the forest to find the bard necessary for her treatment. She follows the signpost, unaware that Jack and Sarah have set her up by changing the direction. Sarah tells Jack that she saw Belle with books in the morning. She is upset with her and believes that Belle is bragging about being able to read, while neither Jack nor Sarah can. As the children prepare to head home, leaving Evelyn alone in the dangerous forest, they encounter Raven. He is angry and asks them what they did to Belle. They tell him that they sent her into the sleeping mist, so she must already be asleep. The boy orders Sarah and Jack to stay right there while he goes off to search for Evelyn. Raven knows that this mist is very dangerous because at night it releases the carnivorous plant Bodies, which even knights cannot handle,